You are tuned into the Armenian radio out of New Jersey on 89.5 FM. My name is Khoren Bandazian, and joining me in the studio is Khoren Bandazian, a board member and chair of the Partnership Committee for the New Jersey and New York Armenian Homes. Also on the phone with us during this interview is NY Armenian. NY is the chairwoman of the New York Home and is going to be participating in this interview. Khoren, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much, Khoren. And before we get started, I want to just congratulate the Armenian Radio Hour on the 40th birthday. We're very happy of the service that you do. You bring a wealth of information to our community in this area. And myself personally, I want to express my congratulations and appreciation for all the work you do.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Khoren. Khoren, we've been hearing a lot about this situation in New York, and we'll go to NY in a moment for that. But tell us about this merger that's going to happen, and what our community is very involved in the home. There's a lot of people that we know that are residents of the home, a lot of activities that go on there throughout the year. Tell us about the merger itself.
Well, when it comes to New Jersey, the new home project has been in the works for almost 10 years now. And I have to give the previous members of the board credit who have worked on getting this project to where we're ready for construction. As a real estate attorney in New Jersey, I can tell you exactly how complicated this is. Real estate is difficult enough in New Jersey, but when you're doing a healthcare facility, a skilled nursing facility, you have layer upon layer upon layer of government that's involved in approvals that are needed. They take years to get through. Markets change, things change, and so I know that there's a lot of frustration and confusion in the community, but I think that people have to understand it's not as simple as drawing, getting money, and putting a shovel in the ground.
Right.
So I think that the board has to be given some credit and a little deference on what's going on. We have a great board working on this. We have great professionals around us and are working through a lot of issues. We got to a point where we were ready to go, but it's a very, very expensive project. And while financing for construction is available, it's not something that we were looking to do. We wanted to try and have as much capital available and use some of that money for other resources. And so we've spent the last couple of years looking to try and pull that together. And the New York home, and NY can speak more about this, was in a situation where they had their property for sale and under contract, and were looking for sites and having their own difficulty dealing with that issue. So you had the classic development situation where you had a property owner with approvals and not the cash, and you had an investor with the cash looking to put it into a project. So about a little less than a year ago, we began a dialogue with the New York Home Board, built a very comfortable relationship with each other, saw the benefits of collaborating on a new project, and really started to formalize it after the first of the year. And right now we're in the process of finalizing our paperwork on a new joint venture to consolidate and combine our resources, our site and approvals and the capital that they have available to put it together. We're in communication and negotiating now with the Hackensack University Medical Center to oversee the development and construction of the new facility, and are also talking with them about the post-completion management of the facility to bring the largest healthcare provider in the state of New Jersey on our side. That has raised some issues in the past because, certainly our board, and I think I can speak for the New York board as well on this, none of us want to lose the quote-unquote Armenian-ness of the home.
Yeah.
It's our home. It takes care of our elderly. We want that. And there's been a lot of concern with that, but I think that the representatives from Hackensack are fully aware of that and are not looking to change the Armenian aspect of the home.
Naidi, I'm gonna move on to you for a moment. This is probably more challenging for you. I'm not discounting anybody's challenges in this, but you guys are actually the ones picking up and moving into New Jersey. That's got to be challenging for you. Tell me what the vibe is at the home. I've been there. You know, such great residents. The staff is great, and we're basically breaking that down. Moving on to a new chapter, which will be amazing. But what's the vibe been, and how is your board feeling about this?
Our board is very happy and pleased with the affiliation agreement to go forward. But we recognize that New Yorkers are disappointed that there won't be a home in New York, at least not in the immediate future. So we're hoping to make every effort to make it easier for New Yorkers to travel back and forth to New Jersey to visit people, shuttle services and things.
Mm-hmm.
And then because also we were so fortunate to have to sell our property for such a good price, we will have additional funds left over that we will be able to continue to explore other options in New York, possibly home health care, possibly Meals on Wheels,
Mm-hmm.
senior daycare center, or even an assisted living facility of our own sometime down the road. So, you know, I know people are unhappy, like I said, that there wouldn't be a place in New York, but we need to think outside the box and maybe look at some of these other options as an interim service to our community in New York as well.
And do we know how many people would actually be affected by this in terms of the population from the home that's going to be moving maybe to New Jersey or is going to need to go to other facilities from New York?
Well, we have now already moved all of our residents out.
Mm-hmm.
10 or 15 people left there. See, that was part of our problem. Our census had declined greatly because the building is old. It's not, you know, it needed to be upgraded and modernized, and we didn't have the money to do that. The decision to sell and move someplace where we could maybe find the property cheaper and then thus still be able to build. So yes, some of our residents did move to Emerson. Some of them chose to go other places because their family members lived in Queens or Long Island, and they chose to move to other places closer to home, to their homes. So yeah, like I said, there was only about less than 20 residents at the time we made the decision.
Khoren, I'm going to go back to you for a minute. I have a couple of friends that live in Emerson, and they just this past week, one of them said to me, "Oh my God, that is a huge property that the Armenian Home has there. What do you guys do with all that property?" So I want to know what's on the agenda. Is that whole property going to be used for this new facility? What's it going to look like?
So, if anyone knows the property, it's imagine it's a 3.5 acre in the shape of a rectangle, and if you divide it into thirds, let's say, the left third is currently vacant land. That is where the new building is going to be located. The middle third, where the existing structures and parking lot are, will be torn down, and that will become the parking area. And it leaves the right third still remaining as available land. We haven't touched that last part or decided what to do with it. There's other environmental issues. There's wetlands, the ground is wet. There's all sorts of different permits that we would have to come back to later. But that is something that we've put in the back of our head. So the construction plan is to build the new building on the current vacant land so the existing residents are not affected. And then once the building is complete, we'll transition the residents over to the new building and then complete the demolition and the construction of the parking area. If that doesn't work, working with a group like Hackensack also gives us the ability to move different residents to other areas as it may be needed. But that's the construction was designed and staged so that no one would be interrupted until the new building is completed. Right. The building design is more in a residential sense. It looks like a home. It looks like a residential single-family home. That type of exterior. It's very warm, very charming. It's not a stale look whatsoever. And so we're very excited about about the new building and what it's going to bring. Emerson is very excited. Even the town officials are very excited. So, I think this is a win-win across the board. It's a win-win for both of our organizations, and it's an absolute home run, I think, for our Armenian community to have for the next 50 to 70 years a place that we can be proud of to take care of our elderly. And let me just add one more point. It's, this industry, this healthcare industry is changing so much that we use in Armenian zeranot, but it is not, none of the professionals in this business use this type of phrase. It's more senior living. There are a lot of different programs that are brought. There's different types of rehabilitation services that we'll be able to offer. We offer it as well now, but and people go to Kessler, now they can come to us. You're going to get the same treatment run by, let's say, Hackensack. So I think that our community, when it's all said and done, will be very proud of it. It has a long history here, from the 30s when it was built to the Father's Day picnics. So I think that we're excited to come back to the front of our local Armenian community here.
I agree with you. Those Father's Day picnics were really awesome. I agree. And Hackensack, major powerhouse in the state of New Jersey. Naidi, anything else to wrap up? We just have a minute to go.
What I was saying is the healthcare industry has changed dramatically, and so the way this new joint venture is shaping up makes this a kind of a continuing care facility, as they call it, where you can start out at assisted living and maybe, eventually over time you end up in long-term care. That's the general thinking these days, to have all those different services in a more or less one area.
Naidi, we thank you so much for being with us, joining us on the phone today. We wish you good luck in everything moving forward. Thank you. Absolutely. Khoren, just one more question before we wrap up. Is this, for our listeners and information, is this only Armenians that are in the facility, and or is it going to be only for Armenians or anybody?
Well, given that we accept Medicare and Medicaid payments, federal law prohibits us from discriminating. So it's not restricted to Armenians, and in fact, we're not only Armenian right now, and many of the residents, the non-Armenian residents, enjoy and actually appreciate the Armenian nature and treatment of it, because it has our staff is fantastic, and they do a phenomenal job of caring for the residents, and our staff treats these residents like their family. Their dedication is beyond pale. We're a 5-star rated facility in the state and have been for many, many years. And so they definitely deserve the kudos for the way that they run it. But no, the facility would be open to all in the public, just by law.
I've definitely been there. I agree with you. 5-star, definitely. The staff, exceptional. Anything else to wrap up?
No, I think that we're on the right track. Both boards are in agreement. We're all working on the same goal. We have a great working relationship, and I would just ask the community to be supportive and a little patient while we work through some things, and hopefully we'll see a shovel in the ground pretty soon.
Khoren Bandazian, we know him very well in our community. We thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you,
We
Dylan.
appreciate all the work that you do, not only in this, but for the Armenian community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Armenian Radar of New Jersey. We are 3/4 of the way through our program, and we believe we still have a lot more to bring you. We hope you'll stay with us for the